Hello and welcome back to the Luckbox Podcast. I'm joined today by Paul Chaloner. He's back. And
I'm doing the Luckbox L, but it looks like a loser.
It does look like a loser.
It does look a bit like
I'm not sure that's how we want to...
We probably shouldn't do that, actually.
No.
Sorry, Luckbox.
No.
Lars, if you watch this, that was Sujoy's idea.
And not losers.
No.
This time. You're back.
Winners.
We're all winners.
Yes.
But we want to talk about the winner from ESL One
Yes,
Katowice, which you've just come back from.
Yes.
And you know, it was an exciting time of Dota again. For me particularly, because the best thing about it, we had the whole talent team back and good production and like awesome
Twitch.
bits. And it was on Twitch. We had viewers.
We did have viewers.
That was very depressing last year, watching these great streams on Facebook.
We don't know, because we don't know. Because we're there, you know, we're in the bubble of the event, so you don't really know. But what I will tell you is this: there is a noticeably less social media interaction on my timelines when we were going out last year.
Right.
Whereas immediately in Katowice this year, my Twitter blew up. So that was already a big difference. So that for me says, more people must have been watching overall.
Well, yeah, we had tens of thousands during the group stage, which on Facebook was barely thousands, actually. So it was back to normal levels.
Disclaimer, we don't actually know how many people tuned in to Facebook because the figure apparently didn't include all the people that weren't logged in, so you don't know.
Yeah, and anyway, that's gone. That was last year, 2018.
It's still there.
Well, yeah.
You can still stream on it, and you can still choose. Other social media platforms may be available.
But I enjoyed Twitch.
I enjoyed having Twitch back, yes.
I'm not meant to give my opinion. Well, I'm allowed to. I do like Twitch. But everything works on Twitch, and that was nice. And you click it, and it opens. Yeah, I can broadcast it to my TV, which I do a lot.
Yeah, I do that too.
And I can use Twitch emotes, which are very important to me.
I'm sure, yeah. I've yet to work out how to do Twitch emotes whilst watching on the TV and in chat and using a normal standard remote. That's quite hard.
Yeah,
because you're doing the KJL, L, MN. It's quite hard typing stuff out.
This is like the early days of mobile phones, trying to use a keypad.
Yeah.
But
how you doing?
Yeah, good.
Did you enjoy it?
I'm a bit worn out from Dota. It's got to be said. I tried to watch every single game. Yeah, but it was good fatigue. It was good because we had interesting Dota games. We had some fun ones.
In the main.
I mean,
wasn't the highest quality Dota at times. But it was fun, a lot of it well.
There was some amazing chaotic games as well.
Mineski Fnatic Game 1. Go and watch that if you haven't watched it.
Mineski Fnatic. Oh my God.
Game 1 in particular. The whole series is fun, but go and watch Game 1. My God, it's fun.
That was unbelievable. I was literally jumping off my...
SEA fireworks, wasn't it?
SEA versus South America. Yeah. It's everything you come to expect from Dota, from two teams who just go all out.
It was fun. A lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
All right, but I mean, first before we talk about the winner, who was Team Secret,
inevitably,
and it was inevitable.
It was,
and that was maybe the downfall of this event. That one team was so much better.
But I don't mind that so much. I think it's a lot of pressure on them because there are such clear favourites. There's less pressure on the other teams, but there's also all of the other teams are vying to be the ones that can go up against them to prove that they can hang with them or that they can't, right? And it either confirms to them that the gap is actually extraordinarily quite big, which is what it ended up being, or actually it shows them that maybe these top tier teams aren't unbeatable. Right now, I think they are unbeatable. I think the top 3, possibly 4, are the clear top 4 right now, and outside of that, it's really hard. Like, you could pick one of 12 or 13 teams to fit into the... I mean, arguably Fnatic are probably in that 5-6 region, and Gambit probably now are as well. But even outside of that, 10, 12 teams.
It's all up in the air.
Yeah.
We are mid-season, roughly.
We're kind of
we've had 2 majors.
Yeah, we're coming up to the third major, so
we've got 3 more coming. Sorry.
Yeah, we're technically almost at the halfway mark in terms of the DPC.
So Dream League season 11 will be the third major, in the middle of the season. I get roughly.
It's not equal in terms of time, but in terms of points, sure.
And in terms of Team Secret's position, they always start the year off strong.
Yeah.
We've seen that almost every year.
Yeah. And then they always fall off.
Yeah, but they've been maintaining it so far. I think
this is a different team.
And I think going into this, we were there was a podcast basically last week which got recorded, which didn't have sound, and we lost it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, Robson as well, T-Governor. It's not my fault, actually.
What?
We didn't have time for a proper sound test. It's not my fault. But we will
Who would have conducted that sound test?
There wasn't time to conduct the sound test.
See what I'm saying?
Who was playing up to the camera all day? I know you were told to play up to the camera.
Indeed. I was told to play that. It was a photo shoot the whole day.
There are extenuating circumstances all around, let's just say. Nobody's to blame. But we lost a couple of things. One was a great interview with T-Governor.
T-Governor, yeah.
The coach.
It was a lot of fun as well, that interview.
Yeah, the coach did Digital Chaos. He's great. We're going to get him on. He's grooming today, so I couldn't get him on today.
Right.
But we also lost the talk about this event where may I point out, apart from Team Secret, which we all picked out as the favourites,
yes.
I picked Gambit.
Did you?
To be the dark horse to...
I was at the Bucharest Minor in January.
About this.
and I watched them and I thought, okay, these guys, there's something about them. Like they have the right mentality as a group of players. They've got good teamwork. They're very aggressive. They seem to have a few styles, not just one. I mean, they're mostly CIS run at you style, but they're not a typical CIS run at you style. There is other things. They're strong in the lanes. They're good at team fights. They're good at rotations, and they're good at picking people off that are straying across the map. I don't know what they're doing sometimes, planting wards in the opposite jungle. I don't know, but they're good at doing that as well. So I figured, like, okay, they're more than just a one-trick team.
Yeah.
Which I always felt OG have been a little bit one-trick in the last couple of months, where they found one thing that worked, but they haven't got plan B. I think we talked about it on the stream a lot. Probably too much, actually. I think by the end of it, Alan was just like, shoot me in the head. I don't want to talk about plan B anymore for OG. But I think OG showed us a few different things during the actual ESL One events as well. So, yeah, I think Gambit were on the radar for me. But I have Fnatic as the team I thought would finish it. Based on the fact that they've been strong in their region. They've qualified for pretty much everything. They've been in both majors. They've finished top 6 in both majors. I felt like they should have had enough to get them to a final.
It felt like this was their time.
It did. I really do feel like they should have made the grand final at the very least, and anything else is a disappointment for them. And certainly getting knocked out as early as they did, and letting OG move on, not what Fnatic would have been doing here. But OG, they're on the rise, which is, I think, is always good for Dota.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about OG, because they kicked off the first game in the groups with the
only win against Team Secret.
Their very first game is OG versus Team Secret. Game 1, OG win it.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to kid you. I got carried away immediately, because in my head I was like, okay, tournament on.
Yeah, Secret, best team in the world. OG.
Yeah.
Champions.
I was thinking, like, either OG are playing really well or Secret are playing really bad, right? Yeah. Or a mixture of the two. And that's great for the tournament, because it means that everyone else is going to get a crack at Secret, and maybe OG can go all the way. This is awesome. What a great tournament already. And no, that was as exciting as it got in terms of,
I remember game 2.
Guessing whether Secret were going to go down again.
Game 2 was Secret waking up or something like that, because game 2 they demolished OG.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're also now on a 13-game win streak.
And that was the only game they won. Lost, wasn't it?
Yes.
Versus OG, that very first game.
And then they won the grand final, so they're now 16-0.
Wow.
Right? Now, 16-0 puts them in the top 14 streaks in Dota of all time.
It's actually quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah. To do that many games in a row, because it's games, right? And so what happens is, inevitably in Dota, for those that don't follow Dota a lot, it's a best of 3 in most cases. And what happens is, if one team comes in with a strategy that beats you, you can immediately counter that by doing something different in game 2. So a lot of games end up going 1-0, 1-1, 2-1 to one of the two teams who can figure out what to ban and what to play.
Yeah.
That's how most series go, right? I'm sure if Knoxville did the stats, he'd figure out there was a 60% likelihood of games always going to 3 games or whatever. But generally speaking, that's how it goes. If you do 10 series, I'm sure that at least 4 of those series will go to 3 games. Because of the way that the nature of the game, right? It's rock, paper, scissors in many respects, but on a much higher level. It's like 5D rock, paper, scissors.
And you show your hand, don't you?
Exactly. And so that's what it is, right? So for a team to do at any event, and I don't care, people will say, there wasn't that much competition, or they're too far. No. 16 games in a row is an insane amount of games in a row. I remember when Newbie did, it was 28. 28 games in a row across 2 different tournaments.
Is that the record?
That was the record, yeah. And it was 2 years, 3 years ago now.
Okay.
And it obviously came to an end in the end, but that was an incredible run. And every game you were just thinking, this can't go on. There's just no way. This is just insane. They can't play. Imagine winning 28 professional top-level Dota 2 games in a row without being defeated. That's insane.
That is. I mean, let's qualify that. I think 2 or 3 years ago there was probably the meta wasn't changing as rapidly.
No, I mean
less new heroes,
and then they were one of the definition teams of that meta around that time as well. It certainly played to their strengths.
So if we say something about right now, the way Team Secret are playing is they're not sticking to one game plan. They're going all over the shop.
And you know what's really cool as well is if you watch their matches back and you watch how they play their lanes, right? Particularly their mid lane with mid one. It's the most flexible of any team out there. But not only is he playing flexible, in the same game you can see Zai playing a flex core as well. So what happens is that if mid one's not having a particularly good time early game in the mid lane, he disappears to the jungle and he catches back up. If he's not in the jungle, he's moved to the off lane, and Zai has moved to the jungle. I'm like, wait, hold on, how does that work? How does the off laner go to the jungle and the mid laner goes to the off lane? I don't understand. That's not even the right hero combination. But somehow they've got this flexibility to work. And then you look at the net worth, right? The gold between these, like we remember back in the days, EG was always called a greedy core team, right? So all three cores, you have Arteezy, you have Universe, and you have Sumail, and they all need farm. And everyone said, oh, it's too much. There's too much farm there. Well, how would you work Secret out then? Because they've got 5 farmers. In some games, they've literally got 5 farmers. You can see, Puppy's got like 8k, and you're like, what's a 5 doing with 8k? But here's the cool thing: that's not every game. So they're not stereotyped, right? Teams can't then game plan against that. They can't say we're going to stop their 5s having any farm. We're going to shut them down every time we see them in lane. We're going to jump on them. Why would you do that? Because that game he's the poor man's 6. He's not even got any farm. So you can't game plan around that one thing, right?
The rest of the team are quite pleased if you focus on your 5 position.
Well, quite. They don't care, right? And that was partly why I think OG did well in this tournament, was because everyone focused on banning out No Tails Hero. And then at some point in the tournament, I think it was actually the one that I raised it at, I think it was Fnatic, and we said, look, this is absurd. Why are they focusing so heavily on those? Like, I'm sure, why don't you focus on LTW's Troll, for instance, which he'd been absolutely a beast on. I think he'd gone like 11 or 9 or 10 games on in a row. Why not focus on that? Get rid of that. Ban that out. That's got to have more impact on the game than No Tail playing any one of whatever he can play. He can play every hero.
Yeah,
why are you trying to ban him out?
He's one of these players that's been in practically every position.
I mean, ban the Prophet, because I think that was a little bit overpeaked. But outside of that, why bother putting... one team, they put 5 bans into No Tail in their first 5 bans, and I'm thinking, he's already picked, and you're still banning shit. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I think I think OG sold people on that one. That was quite good, because it's like the lie that perpetuates itself, right?
Yeah.
The lie becomes the truth because it's reinforced by the fact that everyone else is doing. Oh, it must be the right thing to do. Then ban all the 5s.
Well, OG had a decent run.
They did. They did have a very good run.
Because they did take out Fnatic in the lower bracket after they were Fnatic had been knocked out by Gambit.
Which showed the difference, right? And this is another thing, right? I think that was like, what did they lose? They lost 2-0, 2-0, 3-0, 2-0. So they've now not won a single game against Gambit in their current form, and they're 0-9 against them in all competitions this year.
Yeah.
OG. And it's a similar thing, right? Because Gambit are now 0-7 against Team Secret.
Yeah.
So it was like, Secret can beat Gambit, Gambit can beat OG. So what we actually needed to happen in the lower bracket, no disrespect to Gambit, was OG beating Gambit, because I think OG would have given Secret a better series, just because of the matchup and the style. And I think, actually, if you ask any of the Secret players, they thought they'd probably end up playing OG.
Yeah, but they dropped off. They just couldn't beat Gambit in that lower bracket.
But that's my point, right? They couldn't beat Gambit, and Gambit couldn't beat Secret. So that's how we ended up with the top 3.
I think if OG had been slightly stronger in the groups, they could have got a more favourable position to get to that upper bracket final with Secret.
Here's the other thing about groups, right? Everyone said to me beforehand, the groups are uneven, and I said yes, they are, and they all said, Group B shit. Yes, it kind of is. Yes, it's full of inconsistent. I called it the inconsistent group.
Yeah.
All full of teams who had great potential, but also had the potential to be absolutely terrible.
So who did we have? We had Fnatic.
Yeah,
we
NIP.
had NIP.
Chaos.
Yeah, I mean,
so they're all the inconsistent teams who blow hot and cold, and you never know quite what you're going to get out of them. I just wanted to point this out because, and you'll like this when I show you this on the screen. What do you notice about the difference between Groups A and B on the results?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like...
The top 3 in the whole competition were all in Group A.
Yeah.
Which puts the whole performances of people like Mineski having a bit of an inconsistent season. It actually puts it into perspective. It wasn't that bad. Forward, again, same thing, right? Go back to the major. I want to talk about forward for a moment. Because at the major, they went out in 13th to 16th. And their fans afterwards were a little bit like, that's a rough result. We should have done better than that. We're a better team than 13th to 16th at the major. And they are.
Yeah.
However, what were their last 2 best of 3 games?
I can't remember.
LGD and Team Secret. So you're asking them to beat one of the 2 best 4 teams in the world, right? That's not going to happen right now. No one's doing that. What did that do? That put them in the lower bracket, round 1, best of 1. So they lost the best of 1. So not that bad, really. So I'm talking about perspective. Have perspective on... the 13th to 16th is a bad result, but why, right? Why did it happen? So that's the perspective, right? They had a rough run. So they come here... They then don't get out of the groups, and everyone's like, they're in trouble now. They're going to have to make changes. They're going to have to make 3-7. That's a terrible result. In the context of the entire tournament when it's played out, they lost to the top 3 teams in the entire tournament.
Well, they tied to OG and Gambit.
Right. So actually, was it that bad? No, it wasn't that bad. It was a bad result. The end result was bad, same as the major result was a bad result for them finishing 30th. But the context around it is different. That doesn't mean that the team has suddenly fallen off a cliff.
You're winning me around because honestly, I looked at this tournament. I thought Forward Gaming, that's a disaster.
As a result, sure.
Yeah,
but as a performance, no. As a set of players, no.
I mean,
does it mean they need to change? No.
Yeah, they tied against the number 2 and number 3 in the tournament, lost to number 1.
Had a luckier draw, done something slightly different, won 1 extra game. I mean, the game against Mineski is the one that killed them because they should have won at least a game out of that, and then they get out of the group, right?
But Mineski are very unpredictable.
But Mineski are also a very underrated team, and they also did well in this tournament. So, there's the 4 teams in the top of Group A. Where did they finish in the tournament? Oh, let's have a look. Oh, look, they all finished in the top 6.
Yeah.
So the 4 teams that qualified from Group A finished in the top 6 of the entire thing.
Yeah,
which then puts into perspective the fact that all those teams had a difficult group.
I mean, how are these groups selected, actually?
I can't remember. And I don't want to criticise itself.
ESL are very good at seeding.
Usually very good.
General.
That's why I don't want to criticise them. But inevitably, sometimes you will have unbalanced groups, just the way it works. You can use seeding, and you can use seeding from the previous 3 tournaments, and it can still be unbiased because of the way that Dota is so crazy sometimes. Like teams that did well 3 months ago are no longer doing well. Yeah. Teams that didn't do well 3 months ago are now doing well.
But that's absolutely true. Gambit were a tier 2 team not too long ago.
Not even tier 2.
Yeah,
barely
well, that's
tier
harsh.
2.
But we saw them in we saw them in the minor. All of a sudden,
minor was when so just before Christmas they started showing some good online form, and there was a little bit of buzz around them, and people thought, they might get through. It's the same with the Pangolier team as well, right? There was a bit of buzz about Pangolier online. They seem to be quite good in the qualifiers. Okay, these 2 CIS-based teams are going to be really good. They could break out. Which one's going to be the team that really breaks through? And the proof is on the land. And the first time we got to see them was obviously at the minor. And Gambit did look like a good team. Didn't go all the way, but they looked very good. Yeah.
I like the mix of players, though. Having FNG on there as like the core, the rock of that team. Yeah.
Very underrated captain.
It's
lots of experience now. Less hair.
Yeah.
Toby and I are disappointed by the less hair, by the way.
I don't know, and I always remember his interviews early on. He's just like he's a lovely guy. He's got lots to say. Yeah. I can imagine him being.
But he's done lots of TV since. Like where he's been in the last year and a half is he went in the Seb route. He stopped playing. He went to full analysis role, and he's been on all of the Russian streams.
Oh, is that
so
why?
So he's now got a lot of camera presence. So suddenly, from this long-haired, geeky, kind of shy guy that we used to know 4 or 5 years ago, didn't have much English either, by the way, and was he was not confident about his English, even though he was fine. Like you could chat to him and it was fine, but he was very not confident about it. Now he's very confident about it because he's been in front of cameras and he doesn't care about cameras anymore. He's been doing loads of TV stuff. He's now got his shorter hair and he's filled out a bit more and he's a bit more confident about his own game. And he's he's almost a veteran at this point. You know, he's been around a long time. So we put all that together and suddenly he's a great guy to have on camera. And I know that he doesn't want... This is similar to how Peter does it with his teams and how Kyle used to do it with his teams, is they take the lead as the kind of extravagant, arrogant, arsehole kind of person at the front because it protects their team.
Oh, because all the focus is on...
Because they focus on the team.
Right,
they don't want to be doing... None of them do, really. But if one guy can take the lead on all of that and take all of that away from his team, he's actually providing a service to them. He's actually helping them. And I think FNG is doing that role within Gambit right now. He's doing a really good job of it as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of them.
Me too.
Let's quickly run through some other teams that were there.
Ninjas in Pyjamas.
Yeah, disappointing from Nip somehow.
I mean, again, if this were a few months ago, maybe it was after the first major, you'd go, they should be the second best team at this tournament.
Yeah, and
they barely got out of the groups in second.
Well,
barely. They shouldn't have got out. I mean, they should have lost to Chaos. But they scraped through on the final day in the final game by getting through on a difference, head-to-head difference. And so, a bit lucky to get through, got dumped down straight away, and then lost straight away. So you could argue that it was unlucky for them to get
what's happening?
Secret in the first game and then OG in the second game, because bear in mind those two teams finished first and third. But that's the kind of match Ninjas in Pyjamas should be winning. Is the OG match? They should be winning that lower bracket match against OG.
Yeah, what's happened to Nip? Are they?
I don't think anything's happened as such. I think they're just going through a period of time that most new teams go through. Inevitably, they have some early success, which they did. Obviously, at the major, they had a standing. They had +1 liquid or liquid plus 4.
33 couldn't make it, was it?
Yeah. So depending on which way you want to look at it. So I think that threw them out a little bit and probably provided their fans with unrealistic expectations early on. And then they thought, oh, well, if that's what we can do with a standard, what can we do with our 4 lineup? You know, it's kind of like, oh, it must be better. It's not always better.
And so, it's not always better when you take mind control off a team, that's for sure.
Exactly. So I think there's an element of that they definitely overperformed at the major. They definitely rode a wave. And it set, unfortunately for them, it set unrealistic expectations early on in the season. So anything they do now, from now on, even if they finish top 6 at a major or top 6 at an ESL One, it's not good enough now for them. And it's not good enough because Peter's a TI winner. That's partly why, right? And he wants to win. But I think that team is missing Zai. I think, Peter rates Zai massively, and I know why. And when he had him in the team last year at Optic, I think that was a key reason as to why. I think he enables other players in the game.
Yeah.
He's not always the guy that shines. He doesn't play the flashiest of offlaners all the time, but he enables everyone else. He's the one that will just quietly go, oh, hold on, 33, you need farm? Oh, fuck it, take the farm. And he's like, oh, what about you, mate? No, I'll be fine. And he is fine because he knows how to be fine because he's he's got that kind of Dota brain in him now. And he's got all that experience. The guy's so young still, but he's got massive amounts of experience, right?
Zai won MVP over the weekend.
Did, and he deserved it, thoroughly deserved it.
But I've got to say one thing is, I wouldn't have picked out Zai.
Really?
But it's because the analysts are looking in more detail at the game.
Absolutely.
He's not making like you said, it's not the flashy plays he's making.
But he's the glue in that team. He's the glue that brings them all together. He's able to swap out with mid 1 and take a hero that should never work in the mid lane, whilst mid 1 does mid 1 things, right? He can sacrifice his farm and let the 4 and the 5s catch up, or even have decent farm above him and still be an impact player. He's able to play within the team fight in such a smart way that it doesn't matter what he's playing, whether he's playing a flashy offlaner or a non-flashy, he can deliver what the team needs at that specific time. And because he's got the brains of Puppy behind him, who knows how to get the best out of his team, Zai is that flex guy for him. He's the kind of guy, he doesn't have to worry, like Puppy doesn't have to worry about Zai when he goes into the game, and he doesn't have to worry what he picks him either. He can just pick him what he thinks is the best for this tournament.
Yeah.
Instead, I feel like, this is not disrespect, but I feel like Peter in his team right now, he's still figuring out where the meta is. That's one, and that's obviously a big issue. But even if he figures it out, I feel like the hero he wants to pick isn't necessarily the one that he can pick because of the players that he's got in the team. Right. So he has to play more to their strengths rather than what the meta's strengths are. And that's where Puppy's... that's why they're doing so well, right? Because I can literally play anything you want him to play, and he can play it superbly well. He can play the sacrificial lamb, he can play the sacked carry, he can play the I'm going to switch into the mid lane or the jungle. I can play 4 instead of the 3 on a hero that isn't even a 4, or I can play the flashy 3 and get you loads of kills. So he's so flexible in that role that he will literally fulfill whatever Puppy needs from him.
Yeah, and
he displayed it all the way through this tournament, by the way, and that's partly why. Yeah, you're right. The analyst. They look at what made this game winnable for this team, and it's usually Zai.
Yeah.
When when Mid 1 goes off, it looks amazing, and it is amazing, and he is a brilliant player, probably one of the best players in the world right now. But he got there probably because of something Zai did for him in that game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
So it's very difficult to ignore him.
Definitely. And we should talk about a couple of other teams. Yeah. Mineski, who...
I think Mineski did all right.
They put in some good games.
Yeah, I think they did. I mean, they looked really bad day one, but they played the best two teams in the
They gave us the best game of the tournament,
yeah, and so they won. They were 2-0 on day one. They won their first game.
Yeah.
Then they lost 6 in a row, and we all thought, oh god, they're garbage. But they didn't, because they played all the better teams. And then they won on the last day to qualify. So, weird tournament for Mineski, but I think they're learning stuff. I think they're still learning stuff. A bit like Nip in a way. They're still learning the meta. They're still trying to find their feet in it. And it is a very new set of people to come together. So I think they did all right. I think, getting to a matchup with Fnatic was unfortunate for them, because I think that's a coin flip when it's two SEA teams. It's like, who knows who's going to win this one.
Yeah, it could have been Mineski easily.
Yeah, could have been. So... tricky to say whether they had a great... They didn't have a great tournament, but I don't think they had a bad tournament either.
Well, you know who I feel did have a bad tournament?
Yeah.
Chaos.
Yeah, I don't. I think they had a good tournament.
I feel like they could have...
I think they would... It's the forward thing, right?
Yeah.
The position they finished in is very disappointing. No doubt about that.
7th, 8th.
Yeah, because they should have gone higher than that. They're at least, at this tournament, they were at least a top 14, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
the group stage showed that. Until the very last minute of the last game of the group stages, they were in second place.
Yeah.
We could be talking about them in a different way, because they would have gone through. Now, they would have gone through to play Secret, but then they're moving on and they're top 6. Even if they lose that game and they lose the next one, they're still top 6.
Yeah.
So it's like saying, was Nip underwhelming? Yeah, they were. But did we expect more from Nip than we do from Chaos? I think we do. So, again, I think... Context is everything when it comes to Chaos. They had some really good games. They had some not so good games. But I think in terms of drafting now, they've started to understand what they do in this meta. There was a fabulous draft early on, by the way, where Misery managed to dupe the other team into thinking they weren't going to pick a Meepo, and they picked it. And it was a third pick Ember that confused the other team, because they were like, oh, okay, fine, we know what they're going to pick now, that's fine. Yeah. And then, they busted out the Meepo at the end, and it was like, what the hell? Everyone on the panel was just like, that's the best dummy we've seen in a draft for a while. So they are capable of throwing, a curveball to some of their other teams, and that's why they're a dangerous team still. So I think, more consistency is coming, and they're definitely calming down that Brazilian fire that they've got, which I personally love anyway. I wish you wouldn't curb it, but I understand why they want to calm it down a little bit, and that's T Governor and Misery want to calm it down, because they want to focus it, they want to channel that kind of energy into better play and a more thoughtful play. Totally get it. It will make them a better team, but it's going to take a while.
Okay, and I want to just... mind blank for a second there.
Okay.
It
happens as we get old.
Well, okay, I'll probably edit that out so no one will never know. I did want to say, well, we're going to put the Chaos discussion on hold for a minute, because we're going to have T Governor back.
Yes.
We're going to have that conversation.
Okay, good.
And put it and get back on and find out how they're doing, because I genuinely have high hopes for Chaos for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right. I think the fact that they've got a coach now who is an opposite for Misery to bounce stuff off, and they obviously trust each other. I think that's good. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for that. Some of the other teams we haven't talked about. For the Dream, I don't want to talk about. They were awful.
The two Chinese teams.
They were awful. Genuinely awful.
Yeah,
Asta, weirdly, ended up finishing 7th and 8th in the end, but I think that flatters them. I think they were absolute garbage during the group. So I have no idea what happened on the final. They had Weetabix on the last day or something, because they were a different team when they came in on day number 3. But they're in trouble right now. I think they've got a lot to prove.
Well, all of
Complexity was weird, right? Because Complexity... I mean, I want to look at their results, because I feel like they drew an awful lot of their results in the groups, right? Let's have a look. 3 and 7. And what did they do? Yeah, they went 1-1 with Nip, 1-1 with Fnatic, 1-1 with Alliance. Now, that's a bad result. Yeah. Lost 2-0 to Chaos. That's what really killed them. And then lost 2-0 to Asta at the end, which is... Like, that should never have happened. Like, they should have gotten a point out of the last game, and then they would have qualified. That was the difference. They needed the 1-1.
That's right.
They got 1-1 with Asta. They qualified for the next round. And then we're talking about a different team. I think they've got potential.
Really? Complexity?
Yeah, I do. I think they've got potential in that team, and having Kips on board could be a very key thing for them as well.
That was a last minute. That was a last minute announcement.
Well, it was a last minute announcement. I think it's been planned for a little bit. But it was a trial, and I hope that they keep her on because I think she can make a difference to that team. I think this is just an outsider's view. I think they're a team full of after you, sir, players. No, please, after you. No, please, after you. No, please, after you. No, please. Shit, we've all died. They need a leader.
Right.
And they had a leader in Kyle.
Yeah.
And that's what, look, don't get me wrong. Kyle and I, we argue about stuff all the time, right? We're banter boys, but we also argue a lot and we have a different view on things on a lot of different topics. However, he is a leader. He is very firm about his decision about what he wants to do. Now, whether that's right or wrong, forget that for the moment. Put that on the side. If you want to follow anyone into battle, it would be Kyle. Because he's literally, it's time for war, lads, we're going in. Well, okay then. I don't think it really is time for war, or we should go in, but I'm going to go in because this crazy guy's gone in.
Yeah.
Right? I'm following my leader, right? Right now, they don't have one. And that's no disrespect to the 5 players. I think Adam, smart guy, good brains for Dota. Zach, I think, is probably one of the most underrated players in the world right now. I think he's inside the top 10 best players in the world. I think he'd go into any other top team and he'd be amazing for. I really do. So they've got the crux of some great stuff in there. Limp's Tiny is still right up there.
Zach is Z-Freak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tiny, Limp on Tiny, still a world class. Limp, pretty much across the board. He's got some really good heroes that he can pull out at any time. So they've got the core essence of a spine of a great team, but they've got no one to take them forward. They've got no one to lead them in the battle. And I think Kips is, people say to me, I thought she was quite nice and quite... No, she is fearsome, brother.
Really?
She is fearsome.
She seemed perfectly...
But the thing is, she's great at being able to play roles. She can do both. She can be like, we're going now. This is what we're doing. Sorry, that was kind of loud. I hope that wasn't too loud on the stream. But she can be, look, we're doing this way. We're going this way. And then they're like, oh, okay, because they don't know. Oh, right, okay, we're being bossed around. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Or she can be... It's okay, don't worry about it. I think she's got that perfect kind of coach mentality of, she can be arm around the shoulder, but to help them through. Or she can be like, no, we've got to do it this way because of this, this, and this, and it'll make sense.
Wait, hold on a second. Can the coaches talk in game?
No.
So this is like in scrims and stuff like that, where they're
in drafts and in play styles and the way that they want. But they do need a leader in game.
They need an in-game leader.
And someone needs to step up from within that group. Could be Adam, with the experience that he's had. He's been a coach. He understands that role. Although I think he played a different role when he was coaching. Or it could be Zach. It could be Zach that channels his brother and finds the same kind of zeal to be a leader. Well, but I think they need someone that they will unreservedly follow. Look, he didn't always get it right? But every player that played on that team, whether it was Chessie, whether it was Limp, whether it was Zifri, if he says go, they went.
Yeah.
Right?
They weren't unsure whether or not they were going.
You never came back off a complexity match and went, I don't really know what they stand for. I don't really know what kind of style they've got. No, I knew exactly what style they've got. I knew exactly what they were going to play, and I knew exactly how they were going to play it. And sometimes it was bloody brilliant.
Yeah, I'm feeling reminiscent about that complexity.
The original Cole, the
with
TI5
Swindle Melons and Z-Freak.
Yeah, the TI5 Cole I thought was a good Cole. Don't forget there was a very famous player in that team at the time.
What am I forgetting?
Fly.
Oh, was he on complexity?
Yeah, with Moon.
Before...
Moon Meander.
Okay.
Yeah, they were 2 of the original complexity players playing with
Did
Carl.
Fly come from Hon as well then?
Yes, he was definitely a Hon player.
Yeah, I need to.
He was in one of the original. What was that? What was the team that came over? That was like Trixie, No Tail, Fly.
Well,
anyway,
I know that team. I mean, they became Fnatic.
Yes, but they came from Hon.
Yeah.
There was 4 of them came over from Hon. They all came over to the Fnatic team and stayed together for quite a while.
Well, you know what we should do to finish the complexity story? We won't do it today, but we'll get Kips on and have a chat with her because, otherwise we're speculating about the team dynamics.
Talking to both those coaches, I think it would be interesting to find out how different they both work within the team, but also the kind of challenges they've got have been weirdly similar. Kips has the whole, she's a female in esports crap to deal with, and she keeps having to prove herself, and that's which I don't think she should have to, but she does, and she does it very, very eloquently. T Governor has that classic, but you're a 7k MMR pub player. What makes you a coach? He's got that to deal with. Do you know what I mean? And then, they've both had those kind of things to overcome. And actually, you think, well, why can't people just let them do their job and then judge them based on their results? Because if Kips doesn't do anything complexity on panels, I'm going to be saying, well, is she a good coach or not? Because the results would suggest otherwise. There's more to it than that, but that's the critique, right? I'm not sitting there going, well, is Kip's a good coach because she's a woman? I mean, what kind of crap's that?
Well, that's the last thing you think about.
But I'm saying it's no different to saying to T Governor, well, why is he coach? He's only a 7K MMR player. Well, again, what crap's that? What does that make any difference? It doesn't. The guy has a high level understanding of the game. It doesn't matter what his MMR is. He obviously understands the game, and he fits with the team, and he does a coach's role. I'm sure you and I could do it if we had that kind of game knowledge too.
Which we don't.
No,
we definitely
don't.
So we'll do a special when we have. We'll try and get Kips and
maybe
T
get both on. Yeah, we should do a coach special.
I have to figure out some
coach
splits.
Dota special.
Oh shit!
I like it.
Let me just do the camera.
Oh,
how long's it been off?
Don't know. Hopefully not long.
So last of all, you said you don't want to talk about them, but there were 2 Chinese teams.
Yeah.
And for the Dream, I didn't know much about them before the event, I didn't bother learning.
James,
I'll be honest.
Who used to play for like Vichy Potential or something back in about 2015 or something. Like these are guys that used to play in like those youth teams of the youth teams 2 or 3, 4 years ago, and never went anywhere, never got anywhere.
Right.
And now they're playing for they're kind of playing in a team they've been with, but it was like a community team as far as I understood it. And they've qualified. Well, cool, they qualified. Great. Amazing. They were garbage at the event.
Unfortunately.
They were. I know, there's no beat around it. They were bad.
They did win one game?
They won one game the entire tournament, yes. Thankfully, I didn't want them to go 0-9 and 0-10. They went 1-9, and they won against Forward Gaming, yeah.
But it's been disappointing for all the Chinese teams, actually, because we can look across to MDL Macau as well, where Vichy Gaming, LGD, the top Chinese teams, eHome were there, I believe.
But dude, it's just Chinese New Year. It's the same thing every fucking year.
Oh, is it a time of year thing?
Yeah, it's every February. Teams come out of it's Chinese New Year. They're not practicing.
It's
they're
the
spending time with family.
First half of February, I think.
Something like that. But it's always this time. It's around this time of year. Like if you get them in early January, they're usually all right still because they don't really celebrate Christmas too much. But this time of the year, they're all terrible.
Oh wow! I didn't realise this.
Practice and they're off doing family stuff and they don't really want to be here and they. Want to be going off and celebrating.
Do we give them a pass then? Just for this one?
I think we do. Yeah, no, I think we do. I think we have to understand. If you go back and historically look at all the results in during Chinese New Year or just after Chinese New Year, in almost every year, you'll find that the results have been terrible.
Okay, yeah, I actually didn't even think of that.
Yeah, for every Chinese team. So I think we give them a pass because it is. But it's annoying because I'm like. Makes it very difficult at this time of the year to do ranking and figure out the hierarchy of where teams are because all of the Chinese teams are playing like garbage. So because they're doing that, you can't really take them seriously. But then because you can't take them seriously, you can't measure them against an NIP. Like I can't say, LGD's dropped out of the top 6. I can't say that. But on form, they probably have. I can't say Vichy's dropped outside the top 10, but they probably have. But only temporarily.
Yeah.
Next month, we might be looking at them Vichy and you go, holy Moses, like, where did Vichy come from? They look amazing. Right? Well, yeah, because they've had Chinese New Year, they're not getting drunk, they're not out with their family and their friends, and they care about Dota again, and they've spent 4 weeks scrimming for 15 hours a day. Yeah. So, of course, they look bloody good now. And that happens every year.
Okay, I didn't realise that.
Look at it last year, it happened the same thing. Newbie, I think, won... Genting last year in early January, but that was way before the Chinese New Year. And then when the Chinese New Year, they looked horrible. Vichy looked terrible. And then it all calmed down. Everyone went off to Katowice, and then suddenly Vichy looked amazing, and they got to the final against Virtus Pro.
So yeah, it's not a surprise then.